on panhandling. I've been living out of my car. I'm between homes, let's say. I've had to panhandle in my life. It's an interesting experience. It's a unique experience. I don't know of anything else like it. On multiple fronts. The first being the way people respond to it, both positive and negative. And the second being the particulars of the task itself. So let's talk about the first part first. When you are panhandling, a lot of people believe it to be you asking for money. And if you go into it with this sort of mindset, it's going to be a little bit of a drag. It's going to be a little bit depressing. However, if you go into it with the mindset that you are actually selling happiness, a world of possibilities opens for you. Once you understand that the reason why people are giving you money is to make themselves feel good, you understand how to capture your target audience. You understand more effectively how to behave. You also understand why people dislike you. Now, this is a complex question. This is a complex topic. Some people, I have no doubt in my mind, are jealous, which I find curious, but it is their prerogative to feel that the way they do. They have a right to feel that way. Some people feel so badly about themselves that the only way that they can purchase happiness is by putting others down. Now, if you are not going into it with the mindset that you are selling happiness and instead that you are asking for money, someone hurling abuse at you can be quite hurtful. But if you approach things from the perspective of selling happiness, that's just a happy customer. Sure, they didn't pay you, but they did get you something that you can't exactly buy. They got you attention. If someone is hurling abuse at you, other people are more likely to give you money. So in that regard, I have to be somewhat thankful for them. But for the people that like you, for the people that are purchasing happiness from you, or paying you for happiness, I guess, there is often a demurity about the whole situation, a shyness, a reluctance to the situation, but not insofar as a reluctance to participate. I'm not sure how to phrase this in a cognizant way, so I won't attempt to. I will simply let other people who have panhandled in the comments respond. They will most likely understand what I'm talking about. The second part, as discussed prior, the particulars of panhandling, how unique it is. If one thinks about a normal job, you go to a single place. Usually, there is traveling involved in many jobs, but for most people, it is one place. You have a boss you report to. You have customers that you face. And you have a task that you do repeatedly. In some regards, panhandling is no different. You go to a place, albeit it changes quite frequently. You have a task to do. Stand here and hold a sign. And you have customers, the people that are buying happiness. In this regard, they're similar. Where panhandling diverges from this, and why panhandling is in the particular niche it exists within, is that you are running your own business, essentially. With very low startup cost, you don't pay rent. insofar as you're standing on public land for the most part. Your customers are a captive audience. They're going to be going by you anyway. Your materials cost is fixed. Once you have a sign, you have a sign. But I don't know of any other profession, job, whatever works, where one can say, I have acquired enough currency today, I shall take my leave, and then saunter off. In this regard, it is unique. In this regard, it is special. Panhandling fills an important niche in our society. That if you need money, you may ask for it. That if people want to give it, they may. This is a mutually beneficial association. Both parties are happy. Both parties go on their merry way. Panhandling provides to whomever does it agency. Panhandling provides to whomever frequents it, referring to the customer here, a sense of fulfillment, a sense of doing good. One would think that these are the options, but there exists a third category of people, as discussed before. Those who procure the happiness not from doing something good, but from doing something malicious, those that will hurl abuse at you. Now, this is not too frequent. While many people may think negative things about you, they won't say it. But there is a small percentage of shitheads that will not hesitate to toss insults your way, to toss what they believe are witty catchphrases your way. And I find this interesting. An oddity. Say what you will about it, but the behavior expressed by that small fraction of a percent, perhaps these are the people who, when frequenting a business, are wont to demand the manager, make unreasonable demands, yell and scream and stomp. I've had family that are like that if you make them wait so much as a second, they huff and they puff and they scream and they take their revenge on you because they've never been told no in their life. But that same family member, you could call them a Karen. In some instances they are. But that same archetype of person will give to panhandlers more often than not. So we have this curious case of someone who acts like a Karen in some regards, but not in most of the others. And I suspect only in this case do they feel it appropriate to behave in the manner in which they do. Allow me to explain. Karens do have a stereotype in appearance. The people hurling abuse at you are often lower middle class men. The rich dude, usually, the rich dude isn't the one hurling abuse. And the blue-collar worker doesn't hurl abuse. Both of these parties are surprisingly giving. There is a specific subset of lower middle class worker. I don't know what ties them together. Or there is a specific subset of people, lower middle class workers and retired people. And I don't know what ties these people together, because often the retired people appear to have come from not lower middle class work, if that makes sense. But both of them are, and again, this is a small percentage of the population, likely to say abusive things to you, which is curious. Really think about it for a second. Other people in these strata are giving, are kind, are wholesome. This specific type of person comes from a specific background, and they say very similar things. Get a job. Just like those 3 words, those exact 3 words. Get a job is yelled as like a slogan. If you've ever been on Craigslist buying a car, you know that it doesn't matter what part of the country you're in. It doesn't matter what kind of car you're buying. The air conditioning is going to be phrased as ice cold AC. That exact phrasing. Get a job. Those 3 words, they think they are the catchiest things in the universe. Which I find curious. Because for anyone who's ever actually filled out a job application or observed one, the second question you are asked is, what is your address? But let's put that aside for a moment. I've had people yell, get a job. And then I look over, and they're at a light or they're at a turn, and they are smiling as if they are the person who came up with that, as if it is something unique. Now, this is important. I'm going to get back to this in a minute. In a sense, smiling as if you believe that what you have said is special, or in this case, them, so the royal you, implies that they believe that they are special, which implies that they believe that they wouldn't panhandle. It's an interesting train of thought. It would line up with their behavior. Perhaps the motivation comes not from a place of security, as most of the people on the road, but this is the truly insecure. I mean, they're lashing out because they see a reflection that perhaps they don't like, which would explain why it comes from a certain subset of a certain economic strata. Because the poorest people give the most, the richest people give the most in amount, but the most abuse is by those just above the poverty line. Now, if you want to hurl abuse at me, by all means. I am Gen Z. I grew up on the internet. I was using 4chan at 9 years old. I have been called a nigger fucker. I have been called a timber nigger before. I have been called nigger so many times, it's just a noise. I'm reminded of a discussion I had with a man. We were discussing the minimum wage. He was an electrician, had been working for about 15 years in that field, making $35 an hour plus benefits. He was virulently against raising the minimum wage. His logic being that if he is making 35, why should people who are new to the workforce be making 20? Now, if you actually peel back the facade on this argument, what is being said is, I don't want other people to have it better than me when I started out. The resistance to that change comes not from a place of certainty, not from a place of this will have poor economic effects, which you are free to debate. I can't say either way. I'm not an economist, and even if I was, you shouldn't take my word on this, because you ask 5 different economists, you'll get 8 different opinions. Still, when the average Joe resists something like that, we often find there is a personal reason for it. This isn't revelatory information. This isn't new. People are often motivated by the self and self-interest. It's just one of the basic human urges. When viewed through this lens, their behavior becomes all the more clear. They have a self-interest to feel good. They feel bad about themselves, and as the saying goes, misery loves company. So they believe they are making you miserable by yelling this. Now, it is their lack of experience that betrays them. Because again, that is the 3 default words. Get a job, ice cold AC. Defaults for their own situation. You get so used to hearing it that eventually you just lean into the awkwardness and you smile and wave and you look happy as a pig in shit. And often, the fact that you don't feel bad upsets them. They want you to feel bad. And if you refuse, they take that as a personal slight. Now, if you want to hurl abuse at me, by all means. I am Gen Z. I was raised on the internet. I was browsing Paul at 13. There is no combination of words that you can scream at me that I haven't heard before. In some regard, as I mentioned before, people are purchasing happiness from you. They're buying happiness. You are unlocking the happiness within them that was already there. So by refusing to feel bad, or at least refusing to outwardly express it, whereas my internal world is rejoicing, am I being a bad businessman? Or is it prudent for me to shrug off those people, smile and wave, and let bygones be bygones? You tell me.